or all graphic memoirs? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this past week I recently participated in a readathon called the Kaboomathon, and that was a readathon that focused on comic books and graphic novels and things of that sort. And that was hosted by Nori at Reading with Nori and Kate at Chapter Kate, and I will link both their channels down below. But I'm here to wrap up the graphic novels that I read that week, or this past week. So I did end up reading all 4 of the graphic novels that I talked about in my TBR video, and I have these sorted next to me, and I'm going to show them to you in order from what I liked least to what I like most. So we're going to have kind of a build up here. Now the first one I'm going to show you is David B, or sorry, not David B. It's Epileptic One by David B. I just finished this one. This is the one I got to last. And if you watched my TBR video, then you know this is the one that I wasn't necessarily dreading, but I was the least excited to get into. And this is a book about, and I think I didn't realize this initially when I was giving the synopsis on it in the last video. This is a book about a man from France. I didn't know that they were from France, who has a brother with epilepsy, and it's his memoir of him growing up with his brother with epilepsy and kind of, sort of, I would call it their journey, his family's journey to cure him and how it affected his life, basically. It wasn't a bad book, but it wasn't the greatest for me. I almost DNF'd this. I think I thought I got like a quarter of the way in, and I really just wanted to set it down, but because graphic novels are so quickly read, I knew that I could finish it. It was just, there was a certain part in the beginning where I was completely bored. It was covering his family and their involvement during World War II, and it just was completely uninteresting to me, and I was just thinking, this has nothing to do with epilepsy. And that was part of the issue that I had with this book. It did get better for me from that point. That's why I kept reading it. I slogged through that part, and then I did find some of it more interesting. But part of the issue with this book were the transitions. It seemed to skip around a lot in a way that was very confusing and disorienting. I would be reading it, finally starting to get into what he was describing, whatever part of their life he was describing, whatever they were going through, and then suddenly it would change pace completely, and then I would have to go back and look at a previous page and confirm to myself that yes, we're now in a different time, they're doing something else. And that's what just made it not as pleasurable for me to read as some of the other books. And I think based off of the reviews that I saw on Goodreads, maybe this was more of a personal thing because a lot of people seem to really like this that read it, but it just wasn't as interesting to me as I had hoped. But that's all right. You know, not all books are made for us. Now, moving right along, the next graphic novel that I finished was Fun Home, a family tragicomic by Alison Bechdel. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. And this is about a girl and basically her missed connection with her father. It's another graphic memoir, and what really ties them together in this story is the fact that in college she comes out as being lesbian, and then learns that the whole time she was growing up and stuff, she didn't know that her dad was actually gay. And it kind of, the whole story just reads as like this missed opportunity to bond over at least something, because I get the feeling from Alison Bechdel that she really wanted a closer relationship with her father, but her father was cold and distant and sometimes domineering throughout her childhood with her and her siblings and her mom. And it kind of switches back and forth, back in time and then to the future as they're trying to kind of come together. And this isn't a spoiler. It says it in the synopsis, but her dad dies, and I guess it's her reconciliation with their relationship that she feels that she never got to have with him. So it's kind of dark, and I suppose it's supposed to be emotional, although it's written so coldly and clinically, and that might be the point, since that is going to be a reflection of her dad and how he was in her childhood. But it also prevented me from really feeling anything about the story. And there were a lot of literary references in here that I didn't get and understand. It's throughout the whole book. And again, like a personal thing for me, because I just haven't read the literature that she was referencing in the book. So I would just kind of skim those parts and want to get back to the meat of the story. Overall, I thought it was okay, and I don't regret reading it. And I do think that there is a certain audience for this that would really enjoy it way more than I did, because it's not bad. It's just wasn't for me. The next graphic novel, we're getting better here as we move along, that I finished was Blankets, which was huge, by Craig Thompson. And I still think I finished this in like a day and a half, because this one was pretty interesting for me. This one is about, it's another graphic memoir. And it's about Craig Thompson and kind of how he grew up in a really conservative Christian family. And sort of, I would call it his obsession with trying to do his religion right. And I can identify so much with that, and feeling like, okay, I'm committed to this religion that I'm in, and I want to do it right, but it brings so much stress to him, as he's trying to as he's kind of trying to reconcile his love of art and the path that he feels like he's supposed to take. He doesn't feel like the two can intersect. In a lot of his life, he feels like it can't. His religion is keeping him held back. Like, you as a reader can see that, but he's just trying to do it right. He wants to be the best version of himself, religiously speaking, as he can. And then he goes to church camp and he meets a girl who doesn't, I don't know if, is this a spoiler? Who challenges the things that he believes in himself and his religion, but not on purpose. I'll go ahead and say, but challenges it in a way that's, I don't know how to describe it. Not overt. This is a lot of it is taking place in Craig's head as he's trying to work out who he is, basically, and how his really conservative religious views can get along with who he is on the inside and the things he wants to do. And I just thought this was a great book. It was a great story. I really enjoyed the artwork in it. It was just plain black and white, but it wasn't too heavy or busy, which I've found out that I really enjoy. I don't like when a graphic novel is busy and I'm reading like 1,000 things on one page and it's scattered all around. I can't stand that page after page. I need some semblance of order if I'm going to read a graphic novel. I recommend people read it because I liked it. So if I liked it, it means other people will too. Not really. Now, the last graphic novel that I read and finished for Kaboomathon was Kid Gloves, 9 Months of Careful Chaos by Lucy Nicely or Nicely. I think it's Nicely. That would make the most sense to me. And I love this one. This was my favorite. It was also, was it the first one I read? No, I think this is the second one that I read during Kaboomathon week. And I just love this. One, just because the artwork was in full color and I love the way it's drawn. I think it's gorgeous. It's organized. And I love, love, love that at the beginning of each new chapter, because this is let me give you a little bit of background here. This is a woman who, you're just following her story. It's another graphic memoir. And you're following her story of her journey basically to get pregnant and have a baby. And it doesn't really cover that full transition into motherhood, but just kind of like her thoughts about starting a family and some issues that she had in starting the family and things that she's learning along the way. And it starts each chapter with like some facts and history, which was really cool because it kind of sets you up for the chapter that's getting ready to start. Let me see if I can find what I mean here. So like this one is called, Hey, Look, More Pregnancy Research. So each kind of new section or chapter starts with pregnancy research, which is just fascinating. And that's what makes this so educational. I think I even learned a thing or two from this, which I love. I don't like going into book assuming or thinking that I know everything. So whenever I get surprised by something, especially when I feel like I know a subject really well, that's really exciting for me. So this chapter starts off with the human egg and sperm and, how long of a swim they have and how many survive, how many don't, the likelihood that you are going to get pregnant each month, how big everything is. Let's see, what's something else here? Oh, and then here it talks about different methods of getting pregnant with the different medications, naturally, surgical procedures to, let's see, if you have any issues in your uterus or anything like that, common stuff that you could get done that could help with that. Just, it covers a lot of stuff. I can see that she tries not to leave anyone out, anyone's particular journey. She tries to cover a little bit of like, you can get pregnant this way or that way. And I really like that. And I loved all the facts in here. I just loved the facts in her journey. And I cannot wait. I think she's going to write, it kind of was hinted at the end that she's going to write another one, another graphic novel covering motherhood, basically, and how she starts journeying into that, because this was her pregnancy journey. I want to see her motherhood journey now in graphic form. I loved it. I enjoyed that book so much. So I'm pretty proud of myself for reading 4. I know maybe some people probably don't think that's a lot, but I did want to read other books during Kaboomathon besides just graphic novels. So 4 was a reasonable goal for me, and I got it accomplished, and I love that. And I'm just so happy that I participated in this, and I want more graphic novels. I need more that are like blankets and kid gloves. But I hope you guys enjoyed this wrap up. Let me know if you've read any good graphic novels recently, and I'll see you all again really soon.